Welcome! This is Big Benedict. We're playing Resi 4 on professional difficulty. This is my no damage guide. We are on chapter 5-4, which is the final penultimate chapter, and it begins with a very obnoxious gauntlet of enemies shooting projectiles. And what I would recommend is just to when you get that cutscene, I'm going to leave all these cutscenes in because sometimes leaving the cutscenes in is just, as I've mentioned before, it's just more helpful for points of reference for people, so that like for instance, when they see them, they will remember that, oh yeah, I remember that when I was playing. I need to get to that location, to secure a checkpoint or what have you. But if all you want to do from the beginning of this chapter to the first checkpoint in this chapter is if you just want to make a bold run for it, you can. I did that the first time I played this just because I got completely frustrated with it. But I've never been really a person that likes to run from battles. There used to be, I think there still is a Ninja Gaiden 2 no damage run on Master Ninja on the internet. And if I say on one more time, you're going to doubt how much of a moron I am, I think. But what the guy did, I have complete respect for the guy. I have no issues with him. He beat Alexei with no damage, and I could never do that. Never. Or Elizabeth, unless I was using the Vigorian flail trick where you keep her down and keep beating on her. Or those type of tricks. But I can't do that. But the thing that my main gripe is that he fled from a lot of the battles. And I know he had the skill to do it. Maybe he just kind of wore on him. But I think I've mentioned Ninja Gaiden 2 in about almost every one of these videos, haven't I? But that, how much I love that game. But anyway, so after X amount of time, what you're going to have happen is the chopper giving you an assist, so to speak. If you're not from the United States, that basically means, I don't know how well it carries over internationally, but I think a lot of my subscribers are international, and I like that, because when I walk the streets of my own country, I'm just reminded about how idiotic people are and don't know anything really about classical culture and the arts. Not that I know a whole hell of a lot, but at least I've read the unabridged version of Les Miserables, so that's the kind of commitment I've put into novels, and I'm not sure why I even mentioned that. Why does that even matter? I guess I'm just happy because I'm coming to a close in this game, and while that is also simultaneously sad, it's still, it is nice to have something, that you can say you've beat a game, especially one that I never thought I would play before, to be honest. So what we're doing here is we're semi dealing damage to enemies. If they are on a ladder and you knock the ladder down and they fall from any given height, I think they receive a modest amount of damage. Maybe not too much, but a little bit. And what I would recommend is, once you see the chopper for the second time, or hell, even after the first, you can do it. At any point, you can go back to the green letter door that marks the... Wait a minute, is it green? No, it's not a green letter door, my bad. It's a typewriter that's sitting right next to the door, and you can save your progress. And I've done that twice, and I'll show you exactly where I did that, just in case, you want to try to match what I'm doing. But I believe it's at the second point where the guy gives you an assist with the chopper, and I really like this chapter. I like the fights in it. Even this fight, even though it's a little bit cheap, once you realize that you are getting assisted, that there is a checkpoint coming, and that if you know the proper ways to stand, it becomes a little less of a grieving process, I think. So we should be getting guys. There are no... Okay, see, the thing about this is that there are no guys coming behind you, except maybe one or two stragglers. But the majority of the enemies, like the guys with the RPGs, all the archers, the guys with the bow guns, they don't spawn unless... I'll show you exactly where it is in a minute. It's a cutscene that's right over here somewhere, and you have to go over an invisible tripwire to trigger it. So I'm not sure why I didn't put this in fast forward. Probably because I was doing a lot of multitasking. There was that cutscene, and I didn't want to, unspool the sequences here by going too fast. But after a certain amount of time elapses, you will get the chopper dealing some more damage, and it should happen pretty soon. But the next part is really annoying, just because of the fact that it's really easy to underestimate how far the dynamite throwers can throw their sticks of dynamite. So with this last guy nearing about to getting finished up, we're going to get that chopper coming in, and he's going to blow up one of the strongholds. And see, this is where the checkpoint is, right? You advance a little bit, you spawn it. Now, you didn't see me run back to the typewriter because I did that. I did that during footage that was on the cutting room floor, and it's now into the ether. But there is a guy with an RPG at ground level, and there are guys with bow guns on the upper level, and it's just difficult because even though you can peek out of cover, when you peek out of cover over here to do the third-person camera trick, it's just difficult because not only can you not move while you're in this position here, while you're standing. That seems to be one of the gripes that a lot of people have with this game, that they can't move. I think they just don't understand how ancient this game is. Even though it doesn't have that, it has a lot of the other innovative. Don't scream, Bick. It has a lot of the other innovations in games, in games that you like right now, that probably wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the influence that this game made on those subsequent games. But I can't tell you how many times I died here because I don't know. It was in the dozens. I got really pissed off over here, to be brutally honest about it. And what I'm doing now is I'm trying to move around the map to see if I can go back far enough to get in a shot over here. And if you have to, just use your semi-automatic rifle to zoom into these guys. There's also been some debate about the dynamic difficulty of this game, and if there are things happening, I am completely oblivious to them. And I think one of the factors is that I'm not using any of the healing items. And I think that has some impact on how many enemies can spawn sometimes and how many attacks they can have. But for my playstyle with this no damage run, I'm seeing very minimal changes to things. I mean, when something's hard in this game, it's hard. I don't see a reduction in the difficulty, and I don't feel it either. I think feeling something is actually just as important as seeing it sometimes, because take a game like Vanquish, you're never going to be able to beat that game unless you can feel that game out and kind of slip into the mechanics and use them. And I'm going to be going back to Vanquish after this. I don't know where I'll jump in, probably 1-3. Might as well jump into one of the hardest chapters in the game. Maybe I'll go through the tutorial. Maybe I'll just do some of the tactical challenges to familiarize myself. Maybe I'll just do the tutorial. It doesn't really matter, because Vanquish is one of the hardest games to fall, like the most dangerous game to fall out of familiarity with the mechanics. Like it's easy to jump into a Gears of War games, but it's not easy to jump into Vanquish after you're rusty, because just of the level of nuance and uniqueness that game has to its mechanics. But this really isn't hard. What this is here is, it's a testament to how much patience you have and how much risk you're willing to take on a I would say on a reductive basis, because as the fight goes on, you want to take less risk. Sometimes taking more risk as things progress does benefit you, but how many times have we tried to do something risky, thought we were going to succeed because we were such good players, and then died? But I also think that being too skittish is also a detriment to your playstyle as well. Because if you don't have some base level of confidence in yourself, you are going to be extremely suffering and in want of being very proficient at a game. So anyway, what I would recommend is before you jump down over here, there are two ways that you can go. You can go above or below. I had an edit mark over here that kind of dictated that I just go above every time. So, and I think there's no real advantage to going either way. I don't see any advantage to it, but we do have a couple more stragglers over here. And one of the reasons why I don't say this is hard is not really because there's not a typewriter. It's just because a lot of the times in this game when you think you're going to die, you can do something skillful to save yourself, and I really like that. Whether it's, you know, hitting a hammer out of the air, or, you know, getting that context button and then doing crowd damage, stunning everybody. So what we're going to do now is jump down, but before you do that, you should shoot this, and for some bizarre reason it takes 3 shots with a maxed out semi-automatic weapon. And then you want to jump down, because what you don't want to do, you can even knife that open. I think it takes about like 5 hits. But now we have this cutscene here, and if you just sprint across the way, you don't ever get damaged. So what you want to do there as you're kicking open that gate, what I do just to make sure that these guys don't have an advantage on me, I make sure that they make a move before I even kick the door open. And then what we need to do here is go to the top of the tower, take out the guy with the machine gun, and kill all the other people. And there will be one brief section where I'm knifing enemies, and I will put that in fast forward for you because I value the time of the person who's watching my guides. Because I think as long as you don't sacrifice the visual fidelity of what's occurring on the screen, that scared the holy shit out of me when I saw that guy. It's not that it's a particular enemy, it's just a threat dropping, you know, like right next to you. So all the enemies are going to come up this ladder, and just knifing them off the ground. You see, it takes a lot of slashes to get these guys killed, even with the fall damage. Add all the fall damage up to all the slashes, and I don't think that the difficulty is decreasing. I honestly, I had never heard that about a sliding scale of difficulty. It doesn't sit right with me, and I suppose one part of me is perhaps denying it because I disagree with it so firmly. But on the other hand, I don't feel any difference in a reduction of difficulty. The game is just, it's challenging through and through. But anyway, once you come up here and take that guy's head out, the best feeling will come over you, because you've had to hear the machine gun fire constantly this whole fight, and to finally put that son of a bitch to bed. It's so great of a feeling. But you don't have to go to the typewriter now, unless you're perhaps worried that your software may crash or you need to come back on a different day, because opening this door secures you a checkpoint. So open the door and we'll go to the next gauntlet. Okay, so the next thing that's going to happen, as you can just see right there is a machine gun enemy. He's on the other side of the chasm, and to get to him we'll have to use the zip wire, and you have to go over to him because there's a lever which you pull, and which gives you a checkpoint. And then for the next, I think, 12 minutes, according to the information on my screen right here, there's going to be a long, very tentative, dare I say, a cowardly performance from me. But sometimes if you're not tentative, if you don't affect a cowardly kind of gameplay, you can't win, because you're just too headstrong going into the fray. And sometimes I just like to observe, going into a battle, and just doing it the way it was intended. And I knew full well. I died on this section a number of times here. I'm also going to not be including the items over here. There's a red herb below and some shotgun ammo. But every time you die on the next section, they're going to start you right over here. And believe me, I was very well acquainted with the enemies over here. The only problem was just being able to line up the sniper shots that you need, and one single mistake and it's all over. So what you can do, actually, I don't think I did it right there. You can take out 2 enemies before you get into this location. You can take out one guy who's standing across this compound from you. He'll just be standing there. And if you don't cross the tripwire point that spawns that cutscene, which you may have saw a moment ago, you'll also be able to take out one of these shield enemies. Not this guy, because he's on the upper level anyway, but there's another shield guy below. And I think we'll be dealing with him presently. But the issue here is there are 2 enemies behind machine guns, and then one of them has no plating on his head. Watch out for him. One of the guys behind the machine gun turrets has no plating. The other guy, you can't get a headshot from the front. I think you can do it on the back or the side somehow, but I don't know. He seems to be a very tricky opponent to take out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to man this position, take out the machine gun enemy in a moment, but not before I kill all these enemies, just to make sure that while I'm zooming in with the sniper rifle, just to make sure that none of these guys go up the ladder to greet me. And it's tough. I mean, I was really getting angered over here because there's just too many little small factors that can result in your quick demise. So I just thought I'll just leave all the footage in here and we'll just go from there. See, the people that don't put commentary on their videos, it doesn't even matter how long their videos are. I mean, I suppose from the standpoint of file sizes and the limitations of one's computer and also the upload times and things like that, it would that would be the only effect. But it's just for the people that don't do commentary on their videos, you know, you can have a 2-hour fight and that's done. It's over. If you don't have any editing to do, that's all there is to it. The fight's done. You don't have to, see, the person doesn't have to come back and spend another 2 hours talking over it, which is why I don't think that people should just have their videos lower in the search results. There should not be any excuse for no commentary. So I think it would be a difficult thing to try to find those people with the automatons that regulate YouTube. So it's not really a jealousy factor. It's as far as it's just kind of a resentment, I suppose. But what's going to happen over here is we're going to take the guy out from behind the machine gun turret. And I make no apologies for being so tentative over here, because it's the only way I can win. To just gradually do it, you know, just like in a Gears of War shooter. And you really feel the limitations on the camera, your movement, the lack of sensitivity when you're aiming. So if you stand here, I must have taken that guy out already. I was probably talking over it, but if you stand right here, you can't get hit by the enemy across the way who's shooting at me right now. And by, the chopper will come over and try to assist. But I don't think it greatly matters too much, because you have to do the bulk of the cleaning up over here. So I'm going to make bold to sprint over here. And see, there's another guy on a turret below, but I think the chopper takes him out in one of these cutscenes. So this is where I decided to make one of my last stands over here. And I don't, yeah, whatever happened right there, I think the result was that the guy in the turret below perished. So there are other ways of using the Ditman glitch over here, and when you get into this compound area, you can just sprint to a more desirable location if you choose to. But I just decided I wasn't going to do that, and I wanted to see how this would work, and it worked. I beat it, but you have to take baby steps around the entire place. And in a moment, see, this was rather disappointing that I couldn't get those shots through the slats of wood right there. And maybe there was an enemy behind a turret. I'm sorry, I have a stuffy nose. I'm trying to do these commentaries, and I think I'm affecting a nasally intonation. I'm sorry about that. So I picked up Arkham Knight and DMC 4 Special Edition last night on Steam. I picked up the Season Pass for Arkham Knight, so they had 10% off on Steam, so it was only $89.99 for the Arkham Knight package. And then I also picked up DMC 4 Special Edition because they had some bonus costumes for Lady and Trish. I'm never really into pre-ordering too much, but in this serious, and I mean serious, drought of games, to be somebody as selective as I am and picky about games, when there are games on the table, I throw my money down without a care, because how do I say it? I don't watch movies. Maybe 2 movies a year is what I watch. So and I've stopped reading books because I just can't get into books lately. I used to be a pretty voracious reader, and that sounds pretty bad, that you're not reading anymore, but my sources of entertainment, it's exclusively video games. So there not being many video games anyway, I've been having to play a lot of old titles and things like that. So what is going on in this video here? I think I'm trying to preserve my life. I'm looking for somebody, obviously. But according to Steam, the DMC4 Special Edition and Arkham Knight, they both come out on the 23rd of this month. So since I've already played Devil May Cry 4 so much, I think I'm more excited to play Arkham Knight, to be honest. So I will. The only thing I don't want to have happen when I do these high-profile PC games, I get a lot of fan whining noise, and it really, really bothers me. You can probably hear it now, and the reason for that is because I'm displaying this source feedback in high quality. I don't even know if it's high. It's just good quality, but every time I played The Evil Within and I was recording with Fraps, I would get that whining sound, so it was irritating. But I think it's a very small price to pay, because I know on the consoles, which are they're pathetic, these next-gen consoles, and I hate to say that because I don't want them to be pathetic, but I know that they are, because I've endured long loading times in there. These consoles should not be just at 30 frames per second. What? I don't understand. Just start a new. They're so fucking cheap with the parts they bought. It's so depressing and sad, because they're barely a step up from last generation. I don't even think that the Xbox One can handle Ninja Gaiden 2, whereas the 360 handles it beautifully. And if that doesn't say much, that's just that just about makes you want to cry. And I used to just be a console gamer, but I cannot tolerate excessively long loading times, when I know that on my PC those loading times could be a half of what they are on the consoles, maybe even a third of what they are on the consoles, and better graphics and twice the frame rate. It doesn't even seem like a decision because it's so cut and dry and obvious. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I wanted to point out. In this quadrant, you'll have a couple of emeralds to take down, and all we're doing in about the next 2 minutes is we're doing some map traversal, and then we will be facing a regenerator, and then the section after that we'll have about 10 minutes worth of live commentaries. So I'm not sure how far I'll extend the commentaries on this video, but you can look forward to about 10 minutes or around about that on the section in the warehouse, which I like that section. That's why I did the live commentary. So we'll have that, and then if you are disinclined to do the knife method on the regenerator, simply because Leon moves too slowly and slashes too slowly, you can be the whole situation can be ameliorated for you if you put the Ditman glitch on, because not only does he run faster with the Ditman glitch, that is Leon, but he bends over more quickly, and also he knives enemies faster. So if you're only holding out on the method of knifing this regenerator because it just takes too long because he knives too slowly, just realize that he does knife faster, so it can be sped up a little bit. And even in fast forward mode, you can kind of tell that he's swinging it faster. But that's it for this section. You'll grab your money afterwards. This is an optional fight, by the way, and then we will go to the green letter door, get a checkpoint for ourselves, pick up the stuff, and then we'll have that live commentary section. What's up, everybody? This is Big Benedict. I thought I'd put a live commentary over here for everybody, and it's got a pretty unique section here because you do not have the upper hand over here. And there's going to be a guy with a black guy with a machine gun. Oh, you said black guy? You're prejudiced. That's bullshit. I was defending everybody against Hitler earlier, if you remember, in that other live commentary session. Come on, man. Leon is so fucking slow. But anyway, you're going to get the black guy with the machine gun when you kill X number of enemies. I think it's 5 or 6. And so I'm just saying that because if you want to make a run for it at first, you might be okay because you won't get that guy spawning. And if you do spawn him when you're over here, you have a couple of choices. You could stay here and let him come to you, or you can just move up and put yourself in danger. So I'm going to do the former. And this guy, he seems to, I don't know his method of transportation as far as like how he moves. Obviously, it's some kind of a hop that he does. I'm not really sure, but he will come over here, and when he does, we're going to have to get the shotgun on, and we better make sure it's reloaded. Okay. But about that Hitler thing, I thought the monks were saying, "Go Hitler." You know, the early. Okay. Oh shit, motherfucker. There he is. They must have just been saying some other kind of chant, but it sounded like "Go Hitler," and that's something that I think everybody should disagree with if you're a human being. So bitch is gonna come over here pretty soon there. I think he may be in the fire, and we need to stagger him immediately. Okay, do your shooting shit. Oh, of course that had to happen, huh? Okay, so we're in a pretty good position now. That guy's dead. You don't want to get too close to him though. That's why, because this gun is so slow as well that he kicks you. I don't know if he has a bottle cap. He might. I'm interested to know that motherfucker's name because he's a fighter, man. I respect that guy. And I think the music's still on, so we need to carefully proceed over here. And I was looking at the news yesterday, and some people were mentioning that there might be a Vanquish 2. I will never play Vanquish 2 unless I finish Vanquish 1 on God Hard. That's not to say, oh, why do you do that? You know, you're only saying that because you know you can't beat it, and that's why you don't want to play Vanquish 2. No, I would love to play Vanquish 2. I hope it has a PC release. But that's just going to give me motivation to beat those bosses, and also... Ooh, that was fucking close. My TMP also is the strongest you can have it at. Okay, so I'm not sure where enemies are located right now. I hope there's no... Okay, we got a couple of dicks over here. This guy might be a thrower. Where did that fucking bitch go? I only call men bitches. I think that's the most appropriate use for it, because if you're calling a woman a bitch, just fuck you, man. Just go hang yourself, or better yet, you know, if you're going to disrespect women that badly, then you should just get a beat down pronto, man. Fucking lowlifes. Scum to call a woman a bitch. I mean, if they're truly being bitchy and being, you know how women can get where they're just really evil, I think that might be acceptable, but not just if they're because you are white trash. Like, when a woman comes in the room, I stand up. Not many people do that anymore because it's an old-fashioned thing, but if I'm on a bus, I give the woman a seat. I've seen, like, pregnant women on buses and people don't even give them a seat. Like, what kind of low life is that? Fucking assholes, man. But I did okay, fuck you, piece of shit. I had no idea he was going to charge that quickly. What I'm doing is I'm waiting for the music to stop. I hope nobody's up here. So you guys, the music's still going. So there must be somebody in that office across the way. What is in here? Gold bars? What was that, 5,000? Okay, that's good. I think the main difficulty of this game, a lot of the times, it's just trying to... Oh, shit. Did you see that motherfucker? I half expected my dog to react to that because he usually responds to oh shit. Now, can I get a headshot on this fucking bitch? No. And he didn't aggro. Wow. I'll turn the music up real quick. Somebody still left. It's just the slow way Leon moves. Especially when you're in danger. When you're in danger and you're trying to move away, it's extremely difficult. There must be somebody in here. But that's another thing. Like, if this were Gears of War, you can just glue yourself to cover, turn the camera, you know, and peek in there, but there has to be somebody in there. See, this is the main difficulty of this game. Like, look at this. I can't see in the room. I'm just gonna make a run for it. So I'm pretty scared, seriously, because the music's still on here. There could be a guy anywhere. But I won't lie and say I'm not kind of thrilled underneath, because it's fun. But I mean, any corner that we go around, there could be that piece of shit that we know is still lurking around here because that music's still on. Okay, so Hope I'm not too vulnerable here. There he is. There he is. Hold on, Felipe. Hold on. I gave my dog a haircut. He looks really handsome now. He's a good boy. Oh, fuck. At least he doesn't have a projectile. Okay, so this battle is ours pretty much, and I think I'm gonna try to do a melee. Now, what I'm gonna do here, you guys, this pretty much represents how much tenacity I have in life and in my games, because this guy could kill me, and I could lose all my progress and all this audio commentary and have to do the whole thing over. But I want to see if I can do it, because it's mostly the audio commentary. I wouldn't want to do it all over again. Get the fuck down there, you fucking dog. Nice. We did it, Felipe. Okay, so what we're going to do here is hit the switch, and you either get these enemies spawning. Let's see, where do they spawn? Okay, so you may not have seen that, but in the cutscene, the enemies spawn from below. They also spawn from up here, but you only get one spawn. So I think the spawn that I got is actually a lot easier, although I kept dying on this part, and in the transition between this phase and the previous phase, I did go back and save it, and I would highly suggest that, because these enemies, they just take forever to just take care of all of them. And what leads me to think that there's no controlling which direction these enemies come from is I pulled the switch that was on top here, and they spawn from the bottom, but I've pulled it many times up here on the top as well as on the bottom, and there's just no consistency. So one of the better rooms to go in actually is one that I'll show you. It's immediately outside of this room and then to the left. But anytime you see me throwing grenades at clusters of enemies, it's because I'm very tired of this. There's just there doesn't seem to be too much consideration here, for one, because of the fact that there's so many enemies. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, so this is no longer live commentaries, actually. So the better room that I spoke of is a great room because there is no ladder outside of it anywhere, and the enemies cannot come up. And I will be going. It's the room in which that guy stands down there. But I have noticed that a lot of the large scale fights in this game, they do start with a green letter door, which is really nice, so the player can control it a little bit. So our goal here is to collect the key card from one of the fallen enemies. You may have seen that I picked that up. And also to turn the power on, and then press the two switches, and then proceed on to the next zone here. So what I'm doing here is I'm looking for enemies that I know are around here somewhere. Look at that. Look at the beautiful nature of what just happened right there. I suspected that there were any enemies up there, but I was confident in the fact that if there were, I had a pretty good chance of getting out of there using those iframes. It's just putting the iframes in those context actions was so crucial, and they did it. A lot of the decisions in this game were ones that I really heartily agree with. I mean, some of the things I gripe about, not being able to run too fast, things like that, you know. A lot of games do it, but that doesn't excuse a lot of games either. What game was I playing recently? Even the Evil Within had a decent walking speed, and I know there was a stamina meter, but it didn't feel like it was too much of a burden because of the fact that he went fairly decently at a decent clip when he ran, and also when you were going faster, there was no thinking to oneself that, you know, it's unlimited, which it should have been, but for whatever reason they decided to to put it in an upgrade tree. I definitely remember that, not minding too much about the speed, because you definitely go faster in that game than in this game. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is not... Okay, so we turn the power on, we have the card key. What we have to do is turn the 2 switches on, which control the door that's right behind me. And there's just a couple of foes left. So I'll probably have about 9 or 10 days of no games after this. So what I think I'm going to do, like I've been mentioning, is go back to Vanquish. Try to just try to get back into that game. I think after a couple of days I might be comfortable with it. So as far as when will videos start appearing of DMC4 or SE and Arkham Knight, first of all, what I suspect is that on the special edition of DMC, they're going to make you go through all the difficulties. I suppose that is to be expected, because when you're going through them, it's pretty typical to not have anything, and going through the campaign a couple times to unlock Dante Must Die is something that's pretty typical. But what I'm going to do for that game is, I'm not doing an SSS rank, but I am doing the campaign over again, and I'm doing it on Dante Must Die, but I'm not going to be using items, which it doesn't sound like much of a feat for a lot of people that are very, very good at that game, but for me, to go through that game and not use any items is something that I'm really looking forward to doing, because it's out of my comfort zone and I've never been able to do it. So, and then with the fuck, there's so many words to say about everything, isn't there? But with Batman, I don't know. I'm never very fast to get stuff out, especially when it's new and all the focus is on it, because that's when you actually get flagged more than likely. It's a bad choice of words, but I don't know. I might not do a guide for Arkham Knight, but then again, I might. I'm not sure. I don't like to just start a guide having not finished it, so it could be a couple of weeks till you see something. Maybe 3 weeks or a month, actually. But it's okay. Usually things come sooner than later on this channel, in the end. But I may have mentioned in this video that this is the final chapter. I wasn't accounting for the chapter that's just known as end, or final chapter, or final ending, and that will be the next chapter. In the interests of having everything in the numerical number scale, this will be 5-4, and then the next chapter will be 6-1, even though it's not technically called 6-1. So we have the merchant here to purchase from, some running around with Ashley, and then that's the end. After this part, that is, which is, I don't think there's anything over here. Oh yeah, there's 2 of these brawlers. So I spawned them, or rather aggroed them, and they're just going to come charging. It's a couple of guys with the spike mail, and then this guy here, who no longer has a head, but he has that thing. So the final boss is not too bad. I mean, it's actually extremely simple if you have a rocket launcher. I'm going to also be picking up the Killer 7 to deal some extra damage to it, and have some grenades, have a rocket launcher, and you'll be all good. And the sequence after the final boss is actually harder for me, which I never like or approve of. Take care.